You guys hear me talk a lot about my why to get through that mental crisis. I made it my son. My son was my reason why I got through it. So I told you before, I narrowed it down to two choices. I was either going to take myself out, commit suicide by a gun, by a bullet, by the pills, or the knife, the throat, the heart. Those three options were my way out for suicide. I made up my mind to say, I'm not going to live like this for the rest of my life. My son was my biggest why. So I had two choices, either suicide or get through it, not stay in it. The why was my son. The how became the bigger vision I had of life. That was my how. I had to get my brain, my intention was to focus my attention on something bigger than my depression. It had to be so huge. It had to be something I could barely even fathom. And when it came down to it, it was a miracle of life. In order for me to get my point across to you, I'm going to say this. I highly doubt you are ever going to look at shampoo in the same way after seeing this video. It seems kind of silly, seems kind of trivial, it may even seem kind of stupid. That's fine, but I want to show you something. You see, people often talk about epiphanies. We have epiphanies, right? My epiphany, if I would ever say I had an epiphany, it was a day I was taking a shower, an ordinary shower, and I was getting ready to wash my hair. I grabbed the shampoo as I normally do, and this looks like, my brain said, that looks like cum. Sperm, jizz, spooge, whatever you want to call this, it looks like sperm, semen, put a name to it. Whatever you want to call it, my brain saw it as that, okay? So I'm getting ready to wash my hair, and I had an epiphany saying, holy shit, this is the same substance that we as human beings start off in. I thought to myself, we start off in a liquid form, right? And then 9 months later, here we are born into a body with eyes, ears, nose, mouth, tongue, heart, lungs, brain, legs, feet, fingers. This incredible human being is created in 9 months, starting in a liquid form that looks just like this. When I got my mind to really understand that, to really look at that, how I looked at life began to change. And when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change. This is so fascinating to me. I've become fucking fascinated with the idea that human beings, now of course I've known this my entire life. We all know it, right? The problem is I took it for granted. And I'm not sure if you're taking it for granted or not, but I promise you it worked for me and it could probably work for you, okay? If you sit on that idea, just understand the process of life. What you're really doing is you're creating new neural pathways. Neuroplasticity can happen by a new thought process. The thought process that I was in for 5 years was a bombardment of negativity, suicidal ideation. I was depressed, anxious, I couldn't sleep. I was taking Xanax just to get 90 minutes of sleep sporadically, okay? So my point in doing this video is this. By focusing on something I could barely even fathom, I would ponder the idea and say, how beautiful, how miraculous, what a gift that we start off in this liquid form and then become a human being 9 months later. Now, it's not going to happen overnight. The process takes time. But why did this work? I told you my son was my why. This became my how. How did I get through it? How did I take my ass from such a deep, dark place of depression, for suicide for 5 years, to a place of complete emotional freedom? Drug-free, medication-free, doctor-free. I'm on the other side of depression. I have no more. I can honestly stand here in front of this camera and just shout to the world, I have cured my depression. If you knew where I was to where I am, you probably want to find out how I did it. And that's why I'm sharing these videos with you, because if you're going through anything remotely that's mind torturing, it's deep, dark thoughts, depression, suicidal ideation, whatever you're going through, I'm not telling you to walk away from your doctor. Okay? I'm not telling you to stop your pill medication. I'm telling you to work alongside with a professional team that you're working with. Okay? My issue was I couldn't find the answers I was looking for in the medical world. So I had to take the bull by the balls. I had to take matters in my own hand. And what I did, when I took matters in my own hands, I got through it. How did I get through it? Because I had to get my brain's attention the way I only knew how to do it. The cognitive behavioral therapy and the ketamine and the talk therapy and all of that stuff that I was going through, I don't blame those people for doing the best they knew how to do. That's what they were trained and they're doing their best. The problem I was having was making my situation worse because I wasn't getting any better. I was actually feeling shittier and shittier each time I went because I wanted answers and I wasn't getting them. It wasn't until I really could wrap my mind and focus my attention on something so much bigger than I had been focusing on. You see, what I had to focus on had to be so much bigger than depression. The depression was killing me. It was taking me out. So what was it going to be? It had to be something that was miraculous. We are born as miracles in God's highest form of creation. When I started to say that, it took me about a couple thousand times to say it before I actually started believing it. I wanted to feel it. Everything we do as human beings is for feeling. Once I was able to feel the results of how miraculous life really is when my brain started to slowly change. Neuroplasticity, neural pathways, newer beliefs change old thoughts and behaviors. I said this before, if I could write a book on how to be depressed, if I could do videos all day long, and I know exactly how I can show you how to become depressed, then don't you think I could write the same playbook on how to not be depressed, how to have better thoughts, how to place your attention on something bigger than your depression. And that's what this video here is all about. You see, when you give me the thumbs up, when you give me the likes, and you message me in the DMs, and you share with me your personal experiences, what you're really saying to me is, Brett, you know what? I'm getting some value out of these videos. You know, even if it's a small step in a better direction, it's better than regression or no steps at all, right? So what would you like to hear? Like, I'm sharing everything I possibly can with, but I know there's questions out there that you have that I probably haven't answered yet. So my intention is to help you get through your situation using my experiences and bring this thing together as a community. I know there's people watching the video. I'm not the only one on the other side of it. Obviously, I'm not. I know that. But my intention is for all of us to get together and help those who are going through it get through it like we did, in a way that they can actually say, okay, man, I'm on the other side of this thing, and 6, 8, 10, 12 months later, you're saying to yourself, oh my God, I can't believe how good I actually feel. You see, you take this as your starting point and stick with the ideas and tips I'm sharing with you. What if there was a better way on the other side? What if there was a better way to get you on the other side? A new thought process. You know, thoughts can actually create neuroplasticity in the brain. Better thoughts. You know, when you go sledding as a kid, I said this to you before, when you go sledding as a kid down a hill, the first run, if it's fresh snow, it's very light, fluffy, right? Soft snow. If you keep going down that same exact path, that snow gradually begins to pack. Before you know it, that now is a path of ice. It becomes hard. Like the brain is wired, right? But it's not hardwired. You can change it. You can override it. I call it a mental override. You see, when you have a new thought, you override the old thought. Because the new thought's going to produce a new feeling eventually, and it overrides the old thought patterns, the old behaviors, the old feelings. Do I sound passionate? Fuck yeah, I'm passionate. I'm passionate because I got through it. I got through the other side of it, and I know, and I have the same faith and belief in you. You see, you were not born depressed. I don't believe that. You change that thought process, change your belief, then if you can learn how to be depressed, you can learn how not to be depressed. Right? There's so many people I know, my family, personally, I know my family, who are stuck in this depressed cycle and becomes their identity. Right? You see, if you were raised in a dysfunctional household like many of us were, okay, there's no perfect world out there, I'm not saying that, and some situations are worse than others, but if our teachers are parents, and our parents don't have the proper tools and to provide us. Like for my situation, I never felt loved by my mother. Okay, I'm not pointing a finger at her. I understand her situation. She went through some rough shit herself. I get that. As a kid, I didn't get it. I just felt unloved. I felt that I was incomplete, not good enough. Okay, so from 0 to 18, from birth to 18, I learned how to feel that way. I go out in the real world, and then when I take those feelings with me, and I realize that I can manipulate people and situations to get temporary validation. It doesn't last. It's fleeting moments of happiness. It's not fulfillment. So you go on through life like that, because that becomes your mindset. Your paradigm is to learn how to manipulate, just to feel some type of validation and worthiness because you didn't get it as a kid. Again, I look in the rearview mirror very, very quickly. I don't spend a lot of time there. A lot of my therapists want to spend time there and go through every little fucking detail. It's like, it's gone, it's done, it's over with. I learned how to speak English. When I go to take a Spanish or Italian or French class, do I go back and say, well, how did you learn English? No, I fucking learned English. Now you want to learn a new language, right? I learned the language of depression. I learned the language of worst case what ifs. I learned the language of anxiety. I learned all that shit. I unlearned by having better thoughts. Now those old paradigms, those old thought patterns, they still cross my mind. They still come whizzing through. I don't get trapped in them. I don't bite the bait. I don't bite that hook like the fishermen who go charter boat fishing. That big fish, that big tuna hits that line and takes off with it. My mind used to go like that. Gone, right? For days. I'm not biting the bait. You recognize it, and I made reference to this in the past. When you're a lifeguard and you're at your lifeguard tower overlooking the entire beach, and you watch those waves come in, you just watch them come in. You watch them roll in. If you're a surfer, you don't try to control the wave. You roll with the wave, right? You learn how. You learn. The three most important words I want you to remember on this video are, I can learn. You can learn a new way. If I can do it, there's no reason you can't do it. Okay? So who knows? Take these ideas and share them with your friends, your family, people you know who are suffering from mental illness. Right? Again, you are not your depression. You're not. You're going through a mental state of depression, in a depressed state of being, whatever you want to, how you want to look at it. Don't associate with it. Don't become it. Depression doesn't define you. How you deal with it, and how you conquer it, how you look at it, how you address it, that will define you. So let this be a little bit of a lesson in how to become convicted and committed to getting out of the situation, going through the situation. There's only one way, and that's through it. You got to get through it, okay? And you can get through it by using better tools, better techniques. And that's my intention of these videos. Remember, your intention, the lesson of the day, the tip of the day, whatever you want to call it, is to make your intention is to put your attention, focus your attention on something bigger than your depression. You want to have a pattern interruption. The pattern interruption is going to be better thoughts, bigger visions. Start small. When my brain was saying, fuck you, I don't want to hear this, I'm about to blow the brains up inside my head, I had to realize, okay, that's the brain. The mind, I was using better techniques, better thoughts. My mind, I feel, are thoughts. Our minds are thoughts. The thoughts program the brain. And again, when your brain believes it, your eyes will see it. Okay, guys? Send me all the messages you want. Ask me anything you want. I'm like an open book. I'm not sure sometimes. When I make these videos, I stall, I stutter sometimes. I'm not sure what the right words are to say. I don't know. I'm doing my best I can, you guys, because I want you to understand that you can get through this thing you're going through, okay? And if you can lean on me and let my pain become your glory, then every ounce of suffering I went through had meaning. You see, I believe that I got through that now for a bigger reason. My cousin, Denise, she would talk me through this whole thing. And one day, I never forget, there was a cold winter's day. And I was feeling like shit, as I always did. And I got on the phone with her and I said, Denise, I'm about to end it. I'm about to kill myself. I want out of this. I don't want to live another day. She said, no, you're not going to kill yourself. She was adamant. She said, you're not going to kill yourself. You're not. That is not an option. And she said, when you get through this, not when, but not if, but a when. When you get through this, You are going to share your experiences with other people to help them get through theirs. And whatever she said, the way she said it, and those words, as fucked up as I was, they landed somewhere on my brain that gave me a little glimmer of hope. And that's how it starts, you guys. A little glimmer of hope. Let this be that little glimmer of hope that compounds, okay, and builds momentum into something much bigger. And then, like I said, in the near future, you're on the other side of this. You're in your shower, shout to the world. Whatever you want to do, how you want to help the next person. This is my way of sharing with you guys how to beat that thing you're going through. And I know you can do it. All right? But I want you to take the exercise I just gave you. Just try it. And commit to it. Convict and commit. Try that for 30 days. Even when you're out walking through the streets and driving and working, whatever you're doing, when you're out in the real world, let that thought go through your mind. Let your mind continuously reprogram those old thoughts in the brain. And then watch what happens. Watch the miracle. Watch how the thing sprouts to something bigger and better for your life, you guys. I want you to stay bold. Stay fucking bold. And I will see you in the next video.